Unfortunately, our lovely Julianne, the MC, is sick today, so we will do our best to stand in for Julianne. Welcome, everyone. Oh, hey, Ryan.
Oh, hey.
Good to see you. Welcome, everyone, to 1 Million Cups. We meet here every Wednesday in the library, 9 o'clock, and 1 Million Cups. We like to consider ourselves Dolphin Tank. We're not Shark Tank, but we are here to support and encourage and empower our entrepreneurs and our startup community here in Madison. Little known fact about Madison, we love our startups, so this is just another way for us to promote them and help them out. How would you describe 1 Million Cups?
I think you nailed it. I think it's the best networking in Madison, and I think it's a great way for us to support entrepreneurs in our community, and also for us to gain more exposure. You know, being in the industry, hearing about these guys, and being able to encourage people to talk about them is a powerful thing. So, to get the buzz out.
Living.
No, it's good.
Because if you're doing that, stop.
Also, always social media.
Yeah, social media, go do it. Hashtag 1MC Madison. Sorry, DP.
And so it's really an exciting thing to be able to present your company up here. You get paid to do it in the form of a 1 Million Cups mug. Hello. So if you have a company,
I'm so gullible. I was like, really? They get paid?
so if you have a startup that you'd like to present, please talk to Michael, and he will let you know how you can apply for that. Also, if you have any friends or family that have a startup that you think would be really great to showcase up here, we'd love to talk to them as well. And so with that, I'd like to thank our sponsors, the library, obviously, for this beautiful space that they donate to us every week. Thank you to Old National Bank, who provides us with the funds to be able to buy the coffee from Crescendo so that we can caffeinate all of you so that you are able to participate and ask questions throughout this whole process. And Field 59! Hey! They do live library. We have a live stream going through them, so you can still watch. I don't know. Can you
I think
ask questions on Facebook Live?
Facebook and Twitter.
So today we're on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome,
right
Twitter.
Hey, Twitter.
Hey, Twitter.
So with that, we will get started with introductions. This is another thing we do at 1 Million Cups every week. We go around and introduce ourselves and what company we're with. So I am Leah Rowe. I'm the VP of Finance and Operations at a health IT startup here in Madison called HealthBench. I'm also the founder of Culture Community and co-founder of Maven.
My name is Diana Pastrana. I am with M&M Office Interiors, so I help companies acquire furniture and plan their spaces. Tonight we have an event at Industrious. Yay, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Ryan.
It's for Culture Community. It's going to be a group discussion on culture versus brand, how to align them, how they compete, and so we would love if everybody could come out to that. It'll be fun. It'll be mostly just networking and happy hour. So
yeah, 5 to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
It's a follow-up on DP's talk earlier this month at Culture Community on, what is it, brand chicken?
Culture chicken brand egg.
Culture chicken brand egg, which comes first?
All right, I'm Michael. I work for HealthBench, I do some product and engineering work there. I was not here last week, so I have a mug that I would like to embarrass Matt as the presenter of last week for this evening. There you are, thank you, Matt.
There's your payment.
Nick, you're gonna get one at the end, so look forward to that.
Yeah, you have to survive the process
first. No announcements from me other than the standard pitch to apply through our portal online or chat with me if you would like to apply. If you are thinking about applying but are not sure, talk with me or apply soon because we are starting to book further and further out. We have more and more presenters. So if you're not going to be ready for another month or so, neither are we. So apply. We can talk, schedule further out, or if a month is too soon, we can schedule further out than that too. But just so we have your name kind of in the books and have your interest marked down. So.
What company are you with?
HealthBench, I think I said.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Just wanted to be said again.
HealthBench,
plug
automating
number 3.
healthcare solutions. HealthBench.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Parkrug. I'm the co-founding partner with Nicholas here at GymDandy.
Kurt Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions.
Steve Claude, co-founder of 32 Auctions, silent auction platform for hosting and managing fun, easy, successful silent auctions.
Ooh, I like that.
And they really are.
They are.
I'm Trezzy. I'm a software accessibility consultant. So if you're building software and having trouble facilitating the disabled, you should give me a call. I am also a host for 100 State of Mind, which is a podcast, which is now available for people to sign up on or subscribe to on iTunes and Google Play and a bunch of other places. 100stateofmind.com. I am looking for entrepreneurs. If you're interested in being interviewed and being on the show, you should hit the website and shoot me a message. We also have an event this weekend, Saturday at 6 o'clock. 100 Thanks is 100 State's annual year in review event. We'll be doing a panel for 100 State of Mind at the event and also launching the podcast officially there. So,
Awesome. Congrats.
Cool. I was wondering when that was going to happen.
we're getting there.
Good morning. My name is Aiden. I also work at Health Finch.
Aiden, say what company you work for.
I work at Health Finch. I'm on the customer success team, and I'm actually also a part of Culture Community, and I'm excited for the event tonight.
Hey everyone, I'm Zach Blumenfeld with Third Space, also with CultureCon, a convention all about culture coming to Madison in June of 2018.
I'm DP Knudten. My company name is Collaborator Creative because I collaborate creatively with a wide variety of individuals and companies on everything from custom writing to nonfiction branding and a whole lot more. Check out the Rotoma podcast, which launched a couple weeks ago. We're on episode 4, and it launches every Monday, or the new episode comes out every Monday.
What does Rotoma stand for?
Return on Top of Mind Awareness, which happens to be related to the book of the same name, Rotoma, the ROI of social media top of mind, that I worked in cooperation and co-authorship with Spencer X. Smith.
Are there any of those books still available?
They are available. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any with me today.
What?
I didn't.
Usually he has his trench coat. He goes like this.
Thank you for that.
Okay, hi, I'm Matt Dang. I'm co-founder of Flex Chronic Care. We're a two-sided marketplace that matches care coordinators with providers.
I'm Matt Smith. I am an aspiring founder. I'm in week 6 of this project that I'm engaged in.
What's that?
It's a SaaS startup that deals with employee engagement. Zach, I actually want to really talk to you.
I'm Danny Anderson, and I work for Baker Tilly. We're an accounting and tax firm.
I'm Trent Fita. I'm a student at the UW-Madison.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan Ladota. I'm with Industrious, just up the square here. Love to have you all for Culture and Community tonight. We've got a number of events coming up in the next few weeks, so if you're interested in any of that, come and see.
How do you feel about the WeWork acquisition of Meetup?
I think it's great for WeWork. I hope that they don't take over the world soon. There was a rumor that they were going to acquire B-Dubs, so, you know.
Oh, really?
Wow. Well, maybe that was an internal joke. But
Where are you trying to start?
we're at 25 West Main, the old Anchor Bank building.
Okay, thanks. I'm Lori Carlson, owner and operator of Madison Green Box. We're a box rental service, so we're all about saving our customers time and effort when it comes to moving.
I'm Derek Kepler. I do not work at Health Finch.
Not yet. Not yet.
But that counts as a mention, doesn't it? No, Field 59 is an online platform, software as a service for media companies. We work with broadcasters, newspapers, and radio stations.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Solari. I am the Major Gifts Officer for Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin.
Good morning, I'm Alex Ryan, founder of Prairie Light Solar. It's a renewable energy finance consulting company.
Perfect. Well, I will pass it off to Nick from GymDandy.
All right. My name is Nicholas Kartos. I'm with GymDandy, and if any of the investors in Health Finch want to talk to me, if you could put me in touch with them. You guys have done very well on that part. So GymDandy. So we are Athletic Space Made Easy. We are essentially a scheduling and online booking platform for athletic space. So why do we exist? So the problem is 90% of the time you want to book athletic space. So when you want to get that soccer field, baseball diamond, ice rink, basketball court, studio,
you're doing it via phone, email, or in person. It's not one phone call, it's many. It's, do you have the space? Oh, when is it available? Can I do it on Thursday? No, I can't. How about Saturday? And it's many, many phone calls, many emails. People are wasting hours and hours of time. These people that are wasting hours of time are generally volunteers, they're parents, they're club team coaches, and when you get home from work, a long day at work, you don't want to spend 2 hours on the phone with like the admin assistant at the school. So that's what we're trying to build, a platform to bring it all online. There are over 75 million team sport athletes in the United States. And when I say team sport athletes, I'm only talking about the ones that are actually playing the team sport. So this doesn't even include the individual sports, the swimmers, the karate, the gymnastics, that sort of thing. And there are over 1 million athletic spaces in the United States. So it's a giant market, but the problem exists is that it's fragmented, right? So a lot of people end up sitting on the sidelines and a lot of spaces end up going unused. Some spaces get used but not paid for because sometimes it's easier to drive around and look for a space than it is to actually go to the downtown office and rent it. And we've actually talked to people that is their case. They have plenty of money to rent, but it's a lot easier to just drive around. So our product, and Joe's going to have to like blind his eyes because these are old slides and it looks a little sharper nowadays. Essentially, search is the main part. There's several different ways to search. We can embed on a site. This is kind of an old mock-up of our homepage. But basically, you can type in your city, your space type, your time of day. It gives you the results and something very familiar to everyone. It looks like you're looking for a hotel or you're looking for an Airbnb. You can filter it, so you can say, I want a baseball diamond that has lights and 300-foot fences, and you can get back all of those results. Where again, you're doing hours of research on the web or through the phone to find out, what fields in Madison have those amenities. And then you can dive in. You can dive into a profile of every space. Every space and every facility in our system has their own profile page. You can search just within the profile page. You can view pictures. And everything on our site looks just as good on a mobile phone as it does on the web. So no app yet, but it's completely mobile responsive. Book. So this is essentially the booking process. So instead of those phone calls, instead of getting an invoice, instead of paying with a check, you're booking online, you're paying with a credit card all at once. We can even book multiple rentals, so you can book 3 fields every Thursday for the next 10 weeks, all online. Check the availability, it's all seamless. And then lastly, play. Like, let's spend less time planning and more time playing. It's kind of our mantra, and Search Book Play is kind of the way we get that done. On the host side, first and foremost, we help them monetize their assets. Even if you're looking at a school, even if you're looking at a park and rec where they're not a profit, they're not a revenue generator, for-profit company, money matters. Money goes to their budgets, money pays for things. And they have assets, like every space they have is an asset. And every time that gym sits empty, every time that field sits empty or goes unpaid for, that's a loss. We help them make the most out of their assets. And then manage. We've built the best management system in the market to manage your spaces, to handle internal rentals as well. So let's take that school district, for example. The local coach can go online and book their space. Obviously, they wouldn't be paying, but they can book their space because right now they're also going through the same thing. And sometimes it's the coach talks to the athletic director calls the facility secretary, and it's like telephone line, and by the time you figure out what space it is, sometimes mishaps can happen. So the market itself, Time recently did an article in September. They pegged the youth sports economy at a $15.3 billion market, and it's grown 55% since 2010. And that's just youth sports, right? So that's obviously a big driver of why we're doing this. But then you also have the recreational athletes, old guys like me that play pickup basketball still and get out there and play bar league softball poorly on Monday nights. Our business model is fairly simple. So we charge a $2 to $5 convenience fee for every rental. It's $2 if you're booking one space for one time. So if I'm just booking a gym for one night, it's $2. And if I'm making one of those recurring rentals where I'm booking a series of rentals, it's $5. And then we have a processing margin. So currently today our processing margin is anywhere between 1% and 2%, depending on what deal we work out with the host. And when I'm saying processing, I mean credit card processing. So we charge anywhere from 3 to 5% credit card processing. Our costs are in the 2 to 3% range. Competition, typical startup, we have none. But honestly, the competition, it currently exists in these verticals. Parks and rec, schools, and private gyms are 3 main categories of who we sell into. Each of these providers in these verticals, they provide kind of an ERP type software. So I'll pick on like Active Network. So if you buy Active Network, you can get facility scheduling and booking like we have. You can get registration for events. You can get 1099 employee stuff, HR stuff. You can get POS stuff for your swimming pool, candy store. But it's kind of the old jack of all trades, master of none thing. While it's nice to have everything in one package, it doesn't work very well. We recently attended a couple of trade show conferences for the park and rec industry, and I had the same conversation about 50 times. What do you use for your software? And they would say a name, Active or RecTrack or whatever. Do you like it? Oh no, I hate it. And then you're like, oh, well, what do you think of Switch? And you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't even know how we can do that. So like, they're so ingrained with like this, we have to have this software that does everything. And every single one of these companies, and almost everyone in the industry except for maybe one or two, they were started in the 90s. So you can imagine how their software has evolved since the 90s, not very well. What we're essentially trying to do is scheduling across all of these verticals. And the nice thing is that eventually, while we're trying to kind of replace that scheduling and booking function, we could also potentially partner with these providers down the road. So if you want to use Dash Platform and you want to use it for all those other things, but maybe we build an API connection so you can push your empty space into our marketplace and sell what's the empty space. Another kind of take on this market, this is kind of a sports software map that's done by a venture capital firm out of Boston. And you can kind of see all the different competition and whatever. We're playing in that orange little dot there, right? So we're trying to do kind of event management, but on that lower level. You'll see venue, fan, event management. Obviously, a lot of people are doing it on the professional level and the collegiate level. Nobody's really thinking like, how do we make it great? Just the event management, the scheduling, and the booking. How do we make that great across all the different spaces that our kids and youth athletes play in? Industry activity, another kind of take on the industry here. There's kind of 4 big players that have kind of come along in this prep youth sports space, and these are all the companies below that they've acquired in the past 18 months. So it's a very active market, which we want to kind of be on this line, but there's also good opportunity to be on that line someday as well. Founders, so my background, I started a company called WithSports.net a really long time ago. Actually, we just celebrated our 15th year online. So WithSports.net was a high school sports media company. At one time, we had the largest independent high school sports site in the country. We also did a book. We did TV, radio. We did all of it. We were a media company fully focused on high school sports in the state. I sold that to a company called Sports Engine that was on that previous slide. They were recently acquired by NBC Sports in a multiple 9-figure deal, so a fairly big deal. And I was their director of media and advertising for 4 years at Sport Engine. Oops. My co-founder, Joe, he recently worked at Propeller Health as a full-stack developer. Prior to that, he spent 7 years as the director of operations at Sonic Foundry, which is the local publicly traded company doing distance learning software. Our momentum, we launched with a church in Madison, St. Bernard's Church, which you can go up book online right now. They launched in September. They've already made $1,000 on our platform renting out their gym. Again, assets sitting empty 24/7. Gym, they use it on Sundays after church for some educational things. They have some programming there sometimes, but not really. We signed City of Madison Parks. That was kind of the thing we've been working on since basically 3 months into the company. Madison Parks helped define our roadmap and some of the things in our software. Madison Parks will process over 2,500 rentals through our system in 2018. A team, we currently have a team of 6. In addition to myself and Joe, we have a full-time developer, 2 full-time salespeople, and a full-time customer service person. Great team, doing some great things. We're located over on the Madison Enterprise Center on 100 South Baldwin Street, which is a business incubator that doesn't really get a lot of press, but it's a great spot. Very inexpensive rents. They actually have some vacancies too, so if any startups are looking for a bigger space, more than like a shared desk, it's a great location. I always joke that they were doing startups before it was like cool, because they've been doing this big business incubator since 1989. Insurance, we bundle insurance in our platform, and that's a big deal, is getting that insurance partnership. So every time you make a rental through our system, you pay 1.2% of the rental price, and the insurance is bundled with it. And the nice thing about that is that most schools and churches require it. So in the previous world, you would have to get a certificate created by your insurance provider. You would have to provide it to them. And then if you weren't like an organized entity, there's a good chance you wouldn't have it. So like me as an individual person, I'm not going to have a $2 million commercial liability insurance policy. There's no reason to have it. So this program that we have allows me to rent the spaces that we have through our platform. And then acceleration. We participated in fall of 2016 in the Stadia Sports Ventures Accelerator out of St. Louis, Missouri. Financial, today we've raised $500,000 between a friends and family round, an angel round, and a WEDC loan. And we're currently raising another round, a bridge or seed, whatever people want to call these things nowadays, of $400,000. We have $125,000 of that committed. And we're also QNBV certified, so any investments in our entity gives you a 25% Wisconsin tax credit. We essentially just want to increase our sales and marketing efforts. We felt our first year and a half, 2 years, that those were the building years. We had to build the product. It's a complicated product. It took a while. We built our lists. We built some of our listings. In a way, our site too, which I didn't mention, is kind of, even if you're not on our platform, we're building out listings so you can actually find and do your research. We're kind of using that as a marketing tool as well. This will extend our runway through Q1 of 2019, and our goal is to sign 100 customers in that time frame with these funds. So that is GymDandy. I just realized I probably talked really fast, but I had a lot of stuff to get through and I only had 10 minutes, so hopefully you got onto it. But I'd love to chat about it, have any questions, love to talk more.
Yeah, I agree. My first comment is really great presentation. It was very clear. It was very well thought out. You told the story from soup to nuts really nicely. My question is about the quality of the design, which is I really love. Mm-hmm. Is it indicative of the quality of design of the user interfaces, user experiences?
Of the slides?
Yeah.
I think our site design's even better. Joe's, I mean, not to flatter you too much, but don't blush. No, our site looks great, and actually, I could even bring it up in a little bit too. But yeah, the site looks great. It looks great on mobile, which is great. People see it. I mean, we were in a meeting and all we did was show our search page, and like the 3 people that were like park and rec workers in the room, they're like, it was, you know, so, and I think that's also kind of compared with like, because they're using software that was built in 1990, but yeah, no, our site does look great, and I think, you know, branding is somewhat on brand.
Continue on my question. Do you consider yourself kind of at the perfect intersection between user, end user, booker, booking person, and booking entity?
Yeah, I think one of the issues we actually dealt with early was we built everything around the renter experience, like the end user experience. And kind of what we needed to work on and what took a while, I mean, this thing, you know, people say everything's going to take twice as long to build and cost twice as much. That's absolutely right. What took long in our case was that we needed to make that host experience better. It was still better than what they were using, but still our like biggest shining like positive was like that renter experience. And we needed to do more to show the hosts, this is how we make it easy for you, this is how we make it look good for you. And we feel like we've done that, but that was a big challenge early on.
Do you find you're bringing the gyms new business, or you're just making it easier for them to process the business they already have?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so actually the kind of cool part about what we're trying to do is that they already have customers, right? So in many cases, when we sign up a client, when we sign up Madison Parks, they're already processing $500,000 in field rentals, and we're just bringing that through our system. However, we feel like when it becomes easier to rent, they will start to grow that. So while we will capture their current business, we're very confident that at the end of this year, they're going to show an uptick in rentals just because of how easy it now is to just go online and book. And even another good example of that is they've never rented their tennis courts before. And one park, I believe it's the park over by the Alliant Energy Center, I don't remember the name of it, but they have some lighted tennis courts there and they get very busy in the summer. And they were considering doing half of those actually bookable online, and they've never done that before. And they're not going to charge a lot for it, $5 an hour. But the thing is, people don't want to wait. You go there and you wait sometimes a half an hour to an hour to get on a court. And so that right there is found revenue that they didn't have before because they didn't want to have to spend the time to process all those rentals.
One other question. If a small school's using this, could you also use it to book churches for weddings and stuff like that, or is that you're just outside your wheelhouse?
Yeah, no, I mean, we like with a park and rec department, for example, they're going to be using this to rent their pavilions and shelters. The school districts we've talked to, they're going to use it to rent their performing arts centers and auditoriums. One school even mentioned about potentially renting their commercial kitchen out. So it can be used for anything. Like that front end experience, we're trying to keep to sports. But when you actually dive into that profile of that school, you can see, and they might even they could rent their classrooms through it, or whatever they want to kind of put out there they can do. In the back?
So, yeah, how, is there a way to let people review, a space they use, like this place was great for sports, or there were holes in the court, or also to vet, I guess, like as far as like consistency of messaging, like if, I don't know, like if there's like, is there some way of qualifying people who are using the space or the space's values?
Sure.
You know, if you're using a church, I don't know what gets into trouble or not trouble, but.
Yeah. So like kind of like that two-way rating system is something that is on our roadmap, but isn't like in the version right now. We've been kind of talking to the customers on the host side about it, and some of them get a little worried about it, and then vice versa, right? Like I think before we do like the renter grading the host, we're going to allow the host to somehow flag a renter. So if somebody rents the church gym and they like literally leave trash all over and like they are a mess, like we want other people to know that happened with that renter. So like that's kind of stage one, and then from there we'll probably do some sort of ranking system. We're going to be somewhat conscious of it, so it's not like we don't want to, hey, Madison Parks, come on board with us, and then all of a sudden we have a website with like 1 million people trashing them for just silly stuff like, like the grass was cut too high, or so we're being a little bit careful with that. The other thing we're also doing is we're currently not a self-service platform, so I, as a school, I can't just like create an account and all of a sudden create my spaces and start booking, because we do want to have a little bit of control that we know that they actually own that space, that these are actual, like they're a real entity, so it can't just be like somebody logs in and starts renting something they don't own and then kind of scams it that way. So we're trying to like protect it that way too.
Now, I'm just going to use the tennis courts as an example. Say, what if there's individuals that don't have, say, tennis rackets, tennis balls? Do you have some sort of method of maybe that rentee or the host has some sort of gym equipment available? Do you have a system for them to sign up for gym equipment online too?
Yep. Yeah. So we actually, in our checkout process, there's a thing called setup add-ons, and you can the host can then create unlimited customized setup add-ons. So, for example, I'll use baseball diamonds for example. So like City of Madison Parks, if you want game setup, you have to pay extra, and then when you check out, you select game setup. That includes dragging and lining of the field. And then you pay extra for that, and then it automatically goes on the bill. And then kind of the other cool thing on the management side, kind of like I said, things we've been working on to help the management side, those items that you select then go on a to-do list for that host. So then they can bring up, what are my rentals today and what do I have to do? Okay, this renter wants the field's line, this renter wants the tennis equipment or whatever. So yeah, so we give them the option to do that. Right there, I'll go there. Right there.
What are your customer acquisition costs, both in terms of money and time spent?
Right now, pretty expensive. No, so right now we're so young, we really don't have a handle on it. I will say that our challenge is going to be that we're selling into governmental agencies, and that generally they're not the fastest moving people to talk to. But I think to our benefit, we have basically a low cost free product. So we can slide under the RFP requirements of most cities and most schools. We're utilizing that. I think early on, nobody ever wants to be first. So like we have Madison Parks now, we have a couple churches. Once we get Madison launched in the spring, that'll help us out a lot, and I think we'll be able to better define them.
Was that your experience in St. Louis as well?
Yeah, in St. Louis, when we did the accelerator program in St. Louis, we didn't have a product yet. So I mean, to be honest with you, we didn't have anything to accelerate. So like, it was a great experience, but like in a way that kind of hurt a little bit to not have that actual product done. But yeah, so we're still trying to nail down those. I mean, right now, like, we're banging the emails and the calls and just hustling. I mean, it's just a lot of hustle. So I mean, essentially our customer costs are like all of our software, all of our salaries. But yeah, eventually we'll nail that down better. And then the other cool thing is like, if you look at the other side of the marketplace, if we actually have a lot of inventory in Madison, so if we get Madison Parks and if we get the schools and some of the other park districts, we'll start advertising the other side of the marketplace. Because obviously we make money the more transactions we process through the system. So we'll start advertising on Facebook, rent a soccer field, rent a baseball diamond, whatever, to try to get people more aware of it. In the back, Alex.
Hey, Dave. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm curious about pricing. So when a host lists a facility for rent, is it a fixed fee, or is it dynamic or surge pricing with maybe a minimum?
Yeah, so right now, they can choose, I mean, they don't pay us it's free to list and sell. So they don't pay us anything to sell. We only get money when they actually rent something. They can set the pricing to whatever they want the pricing to be. And then right now, another thing on our roadmap, which will probably be done in the next 2 weeks, just kidding, is pricing tools. So we're building in tools for them to be able to dynamically price their own spaces. So they could say, like, for example, Mondays through Fridays, 8 to 5, it's actually this price, and then Saturdays it's more expensive because it's the weekend. Another one we're doing is like a roving date. So if it's 2 weeks out, it becomes less expensive the closer it gets to the date. You know, like those kinds of things to help them with fill. Those aren't done yet, but that's kind of how we're trying to help give them some tools around that.
How do you handle like the payment collection? Are you collecting all the money and then sending the payments then on to?
Yep. So we collect, when the payment happens, we collect the money, put it in escrow, hold on to it until the event happens. So at the end of the month, so November 5th, I cut a check to St. Bernard's Church for all of their rentals that happened in October. And then the big reason why we do that is, especially for the outdoor entities, is because we handle all of the refunds. So if Madison Parks has half of their events wiped out in April because of rain, that never touches their desk. They never have to deal with any of the paperwork for those. Whereas today what they do is in the beginning of the season, you pay a 50% deposit on all of your rentals. And then at the end of the season, somebody has to sit down and say, okay, they owe 50%, but they had this many canceled and this many whatever. So we're taking, by collecting and holding the money and processing the refunds internally, we're able to get rid of that entire headache for them.
What about disputes on?
Yeah, I mean, disputes, you're essentially saying like, is if there's like a renter that says, I didn't do this, or?
Yeah, sure. Have you had any issues like that yet?
I mean, not yet, but we're also small. I mean, I'm sure that stuff will come. And then there's also some issuing around deposits. So we're also collecting a deposit. We had to build some processes for like them to be able to say, okay, you know, we had 2 hours of cleaning and therefore we're taking this much of the deposit. So there will be some disputey stuff, but you know, we're trying to be, I guess, the middleman in that, you know, the arbiter, so to speak. So we haven't had to deal with that yet, but as we scale, that will probably be something we'll have to definitely look at closer. In the front row.
What does your migration plan look like? One of the biggest issues I see with software companies moving into a space where there's already competition, like you said, you've got Active Network and Desk and these other companies, is being able to say, hey, we've got this new software. The company says, well, we've already got something, so why would we switch? Right. So what does your migration plan look like? Do you have plans for companies to make those transitions to your tool?
Yeah, for the most part, there's not a ton of like old data we have to bring in, right? In many cases, they're going to keep their software. They're going to still have their historical data if they need it. But in a lot of ways, they're not even using the tools they have to their fullest extent. So I guess the only thing we would see is like, you know, okay, we're going to jump on today, and then here's all the rentals that were already booked for the next year, and then our staff would go in and make sure we book out those times so they can't be rented. I think that would be the only like migration issue we might run into. But the crazy thing is like there's all those softwares that exist, and you know I mentioned 90% of the time you're still doing it over phone, email, whatever, in person, and it's because the software is so bad at the online booking component. Only 50% of the providers actually have online booking, and the majority of people just have it turned off because it's so hard to manage.
One of the things I always look for is pain relief. It seems that you provide significant pain relief for both the booking venue and the guy on the street guy who wants to book something. It seems to me like that's an instant, I get it.
Yeah.
Do you see that when you go into sales or?
Yeah, I mean, it is. In a way, actually, I've had 3 meetings now where like somebody turned to their boss and said like, am I gonna get fired? Because like their job was actually like scheduling and doing the booking and stuff like that. Luckily in all 3 cases, the boss was like, no, we have like tons of work for you to do. So yeah, we do see that. I think where we get a snag, or you know, every startup has, you know, they're hard because they're hard for a reason, right? Our snag is just the process sometimes with some of the entities. So Madison Parks legit took 14 months from them saying, oh my God, we should do this, to like them actually signing a contract. We have switched our focus a little bit to the smaller municipalities. So right now we're more targeting 10,000 to 100,000 residents across the country, like those park and rec districts. Because for instance, we also signed Marathon County, and that was a lot shorter process. And so we're trying to focus on them. So, you know, still trying to talk to those other ones and get them in the funnel and whatever. But yeah, I mean, when people actually see the demo, they get it right away. And I guess that's another challenge, just getting them to get to the demo, right? I mean, there's 20 park and rec software companies. And so they're all calling on these same people too, and saying all the great things they have, even though they're probably not great. And so, you know, kind of cutting through the clutter, actually getting in front of them. that's why, you know, like going to those Park and Rec conferences is great because like you can actually show them on the screen. We have our little video running and all that, whatever. You know, they can actually see it and realize it. And because like the attitudes they come in on it, like I mentioned, like you ask them how their software is and they're like, oh, we hate it, right? And they just think we're gonna hate everything. And sometimes they think, it took me 5 years to learn this software, I'm not gonna do that again. So like those are some, it's like almost like the concept like of like the past is like what we have to overcome. And my answer to that is like the first customer was a priest who taught himself the system, you know? Like, so, I mean, like we didn't even need to do any training. So those are some of the challenges we have. When people actually see it, they get it, right? Like when we have our meetings with Madison Parks and the actual people that are in the weeds doing the work, they're super excited because they know. I mean, like right now the process is you fill out a PDF, you have to pay $25 just to request a space at Madison. One guy sits in a room with 400 PDFs in February and figures out where everyone's playing. It's a mess, right? So like he's so excited. And kind of another thing from the sales front is like we keep saying we need to have stories to tell. You know, we need to get those customers launched and we need to tell people how it's working for them and we need to get their referrals. And you know, that's another thing. Sometimes with startups, stuff takes time and sometimes with startups it's hard to get time. But we feel like we're on a path now where we're gonna be able to start executing on that.
Two questions, Nick. The first of which is, well, before any questions, it seems like you guys have a lot figured out. Like the ability to have the insurance be included with the rental, all of the host-centric services is like that. I think that is the like determining factor on whether or not a host would, you know, use your service or not. So my next question is, your goal in 2018 is 100 customers to sign. What is, if you were to sort of have a magic wand that would provide you $5 million, a bunch of talented people, you know, amazing marketing, what's the determining factor for you in scaling to like 10,000 customers signing next year?
And where is this magic wand? I mean, you know, I really think it's just a matter of time and money and resources. I mean, it's, you know, like a lot of these entities, especially if you're talking about the governmental agencies, sometimes you do have to wait out for their RFP cycles. Sometimes you have to just fill up your pipeline, you know, and that takes time. And you know, when you only have 3 pipelines, me and 2 other salespeople, it's, you know, it's hard to move fast when you're trying to sell to 1 million athletic spaces, right? So, you know, early on, we're trying to focus on some of the quicker sells, but yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's just, you know, we do feel like we have a lot of stuff figured out. I appreciate you saying that because we've thought a lot about it and we both run businesses and yeah, I mean, I think it's a time and money situation and you know, this isn't like a viral startup, right? Like it's not like we have an app and 1 million people are going to be playing trivia tomorrow night on it, right? It's more of a longer slog. It's a software sale. It's a governmental sale. So that's our biggest challenge. And but we feel if we can get the support and the resources, we feel like we have the team and we can build the team to take care of it. Danny?
Nick, what kind of things you presented? And you were at the Wisconsin Early Stage Symposium a couple weeks ago. What kinds of things did you take away from sitting down with all the different investors?
Yeah.
What kind of advice or what did you learn from that process? Would you say?
I thought that was good. I mean, so like there was like these 7-minute interviews at the ESS with investors. I mean, it was good. It was a little rushed because you only had 7 minutes. You know, I think just in general with investor meetings overall, I think there's a lot of people want to help and a lot of people have their own ideas and you know, it's just, you know, convincing people that what you're doing is going to be big and I think that's the challenge with all startups, right? You got to convince them. And was it Jeff Bezos had to talk to like 600 people to get, you know, $1 million raised for Amazon, right? So I think it's more of that. You know, it's you hear a lot of the same stuff, so you have to be prepared for that. I mean, I know if an investor says no and they say the reason is because we're selling to governments and there's a long sales cycle, blah, 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 like that's the usual response we get. Like that's the issue right now with a lot of people. So I think it's just accepting that, and if that's what they're looking for, then that's what they're looking for. But yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, I guess that's a tough question. I've been in so many investor meetings now, it's hard. They're all smart people, that's why they are where they are, and you know, and they're not wrong, but they're also not right, you know? If somebody, you know, like what I always say is like you could walk into ESS and I could meet 100 startups and I could tell every single one of them they're going to be out of business in 2 years, and I would be right like 90% of the time, right? So like I think the bigger thing is like how do you find the ones that are going to succeed? You know, because like it's easy to be negative, it's easy to say why things are going to fail. You know, why is this going to succeed? Why do you believe in it? And I think that's kind of where my mind always goes with that.
Are you capturing those case studies? Are you getting that priest on video who says, hey, that thing, which was just a heating cost, is now a profit
Right.
center?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on it. We're working on kind of improving our materials. Like, they've only been on board for 2 months. They, unfortunately, are shutting down for the next 2 months because they have a musical that they do. And then they're back open for the spring. So we're hoping to get them a busy spring season, not only with basketball, but with like soccer rainouts and stuff. They're always scrambling to find space. Madison Parks, again, like that, they are just onboarding right now. They will be open to the public in like March-ish. So it's like we got to kind of just wait it out to get them on board. And then there's like a number of smaller ones we're waiting for, but it's kind of like, you know, we feel like Q2-ish of next year will be kind of when we hit those like case studies and those things a little harder.
Are you doing any focus groups with like youth soccer leagues or basketball leagues and stuff like that, just to get their input from?
Yeah, and actually, well, before I quit my job at Sport Engine, I mean, that's like was like my secret part-time job, was like meeting with anybody and everyone I could meet with. And I obviously, you know, being involved with high school sports and youth sports for 15 years, I had a lot of background, and I had a lot of like, and I'd run my own events. But that's, I mean, I interviewed over 150 people before I quit my job. Just because obviously I didn't want to quit my job for something that wasn't going to work out. And it was like really the pain point. I mean, it was, everybody had a story, everybody had their own twist on it, where like I spent 20 hours doing this, or we had to drive 45 minutes across town for practice every Tuesday. Everybody had a story, and that was kind of what I captured from it, was that there was a lot of pain on that renter side, and how do we figure out a way to convince the supply side to switch over to a better way.
Are private entities a market for you, like a Kiva Sports or like the big arena that's going in by Ho-Chunk?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So they would absolutely be a big one. Now with the private entities, they generally all have some sort of software, and I think that's been the harder nut to crack with them. The other thing is that they all run their own programming. So generally when you put up a building like Kiva, like the traditional thing is you build up a building like Kiva, but you have to run all your own programming. So you have to run all your own leagues, you run all your own camps, you run all your own like kid programs. And that's kind of been the trend. That's what's always happened. But I also think that's why like that private gym market has never been rolled up in any sort of way. Like the largest private gym owner in the country owns 5 of them. So like there's never, but I think it's because of all the touching, or like the hands-on stuff you have to do at that local level. You have to run those leagues, you have to run those camps. Nobody's ever been able to just say, I'm just going to pop up a building. Heck, I could put batting cages in an empty store in the mall and rent them on GymDandy and make money, right? So like that's never really existed before, that ability to just pop it online and have it be listed. So what our issues are, where we run into issues with some of the private places, is generally where they have open time is 8 to 5 during the day, very scattered. And so they don't necessarily think people want that space. And since we don't have enough of other supporting materials on our site, nobody's coming to it yet. So I think over time, once we really build up our market, like once we have Madison Parks and some of these other ones, we could drive more value to a Kiva or some of those other places.
Do those private entities have their own homegrown software, or are they also clustered around like a program that you could have an API call to?
Yeah, so Dash Platform and Easy Facility, those are the 2 main providers to that private facility industry. Higher cost, Dash costs $1,000 a month plus processing fees. Easy Facility costs $500 a month plus processing fees. So a lot higher cost, but yeah, that's kind of how they manage their schedule. And then they have some tools that layer into it, like to run, to have league standings and registration for the league and stuff like that. But yeah, so that would be a case where we would have to either integrate with one of those providers for them to push empty time slots to our marketplace, or somehow convince them to just do the scheduling and booking function through us, and like all the other stuff through their current software.
Sure. Is Airbnb kind of a tight analogy to what you're doing?
It was in the beginning. So in the beginning we were pure marketplace, but then we kind of switched when we realized we had to develop more tools for the hosts. So now kind of like if we had to like compare ourselves, we kind of use OpenTable. Because OpenTable developed software for restaurant reservations, and then because of it, once they had enough of them, they had this like nice little marketplace where you can be in Chicago and say, I want Italian, and then get all the restaurants and book online. So we see it a little bit more like OpenTable, and then the other part is that you go to a restaurant website, you go to Cento's website, and then you end up at OpenTable to make the booking. We're going to be similar in the beginning. You're going to go to Madison Park's website, and then you're going to end up on GymDandy to actually book the field. So we feel like that's more of a similar entity.
So we have about 10 minutes left, so we can do our final question. Our final thing is really from you and ask of the community. What is the 1 or 2 things that we could really do to help you at GymDandy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we're trying to grow. So if you know of any community people, school people, church people, facility people that have a need or have some space, we'd love to talk to them. We'd love to bring them on the platform, show them. And in any kind of space, it could be studio space, dance studios, and anyone that has a need that rent space. If it's sitting empty, they're not making money from it, right? And then like the school districts and all those, obviously that's a longer process, but anytime we can get a contact, that's always great. We're obviously looking for investments, so obviously those are always, that's the every startup's issue, but that's always great. But yeah, and thank you too. It's great to be able to come in here and talk to a group of people, get some feedback, and we were here about 1.5 years ago, and it's crazy, like how much different we are as a company, how much different our slides are. Our slides were it's hard to look at the old slides. And some of the same people are in the room that were there 1.5 years ago, and there's a lot of new people, which is great. And so thank you as well. And obviously we're happy me and Joe are happy to stay here after Joe and I.
Perfect. I was going to ask if you can stay around for
absolutely.
To mingle a little more, ask you some questions, and also I'm really excited to pay you.
I think I got my coffee mug.
You survived. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
I'm going to have to give that to Joe. Drink water.